Pre-game Facebook Live. We are counting you down to kickoff at Arrowhead Stadium between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. It's AFC Championship game day. We are fired up. And so that means we're bringing you some extra coverage to talk some Chiefs because we're just so fired up here. I'm Jared Kohler, joined alongside by the Danny Welniak and the former linebacker of the Kansas City Chiefs, Dezman Moses. And guys, this is your time to shine. We're just going to answer some Facebook Live questions. Let us know how you're feeling, if you're nervous, what you're excited about. But more importantly, let's pick the brain of this guy over here. He's been through the trenches. He's played for Andy Reid. He's played with a lot of these guys. He's played in the playoffs. He hit Tom Brady. I mean, how many of us would love to do that? So we're just talking some Chiefs here for a little bit until kickoff. So let us know your questions and we'll fire away. Desmond, I want to start off just generic.
Yeah.
A lot of fan favorites on this team, but kind of take me through your time. You were here a couple of years in Kansas City. Who are some of your favorite teammates that you've played with that fans would recognize?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with a superstar. We're talking about Travis Kelce. This guy, he's one of my favorite. We got to spend some time off the field together. You know, we were injured and nicked up together, but this guy's a class act. To see his maturation process, to see him come full circle, even win Man of the Year, I mean, it's special. He's one of my favorites. And then another guy we talked about earlier this season, Alex Smith.
Oh, yeah, Alex
How
is
can't
awesome.
you love Alex? This guy is one of the class acts of the NFL. This guy came back from a life-threatening injury to overcome and start another game, to lead his team to some success. Those are two of my favorites that come to mind immediately.
Yeah, those guys are awesome, and I absolutely have loved being able to cover them in the locker room. But we were just talking off camera about how the feeling around these AFC Championship games and around the bigger games just feels different. And as a player, what do you see? How do you know that this is like the second biggest game in the NFL?
Well, not only are your coaches telling you and preaching about the hype and about just the anticipation, the excitement you should have, you see the cameras. You know, when it's a big game, primetime, Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night, the cameras are on, the lights. I mean, they literally have cameras that are strapped to the top of these stadiums that can come down within inches of your head in the huddle. It lets you know it's big time. You know?
That's intimidating.
I mean,
hey, whoa,
come on, you know? It's like Transformers, man.
You're looking out for offensive players, defensive, and all of a sudden you're watching out for the camera.
Yeah.
Listen, we got guys watching from all over. I want to give a shout out. Let me just scroll. Dominic watching in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Ready to watch my Chiefs win this AFC Championship. Representing. Danny's got some Oklahoma ties over there. So.
Represent Go Pokes. Sorry, all of you OU fans out there. Neil's an OU guy. He played golf at OU, so we get to banter a little bit. But we love the Oklahoma. Bring it in. Bring it in.
Axel says, I like the quarterback from KC going with them. I tell you, Desmond, what do you think of the quarterback matchup? How important? I mean, in the playoffs, a lot of times it feels like the best quarterback wins. Is that really what it's going to come down to today?
It could. I honestly think it will. Patrick Mahomes, if this guy's healthy, if he's out there and he can play full quarters, my money is on him every single time. You'd be outside of your mind to think differently. But a young guy like Josh Allen, he's looking to prove to the people, to his fans, to his teammates that, hey, I'm the young budding superstar in this league. I'm here. I mean, he reminds me a ton of Ben Roethlisberger, but he's going to be here for the future. I think this guy's the real deal. He's got a big-time arm. He can sling it, too. So he's here to make a name for himself.
And I want people to let us know where you're watching from, but unfortunately, I think we got the top comment right off the bat. Well, I just lost him. Julian says, we are ready here in Puerto Rico. Let's go Chiefs. So, I mean, the people tune out from across the world to hear what Dezman Moses has to say. I mean, Danny and I are just along for the ride, so shout out to everyone here. One thing that is obviously the talk of right now, it's looking like it's going to be Tom Brady. Desmond, you've played against Tom Brady. Take us in the mind. What's it like lining up and you see him yelling at everybody?
Well, you know, I speak highly of this guy often. I truly love him. What he brings to the game, what he puts into the game, to be able to play the game for the amount of years that he has and had the success, the longevity, what it takes.
Right.
I played 5 years, Danny. You know, my body, some days I wake up and I'm like, I'm feeling
it.
So the respect goes out to a guy like this. He's an ultimate athlete. The things he does for his team, the pay cuts that he's taken to keep the talent around him. I love a guy like that. He's a team player, and he's confident. He got a little bit of cocky with him, too.
Yeah, he does. He does. And we've seen it on the field where he and Chris Jones will get up in each other's faces and they'll banter back and forth. And you're like, wait, hang on. Chris is like a few inches taller than you. You may not want to mess with him being Tom Brady. But, I mean, it takes so much for someone to be able to keep their body in that good of condition, to be playing this long. And he's also a very different quarterback. I know a lot of people out there talk about how they want Patrick Mahomes to last that long.
Sure.
But they have two totally different styles of playing, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this guy, he hasn't been considered outside the pocket. I mean, this guy's a pocket quarterback. They've even instilled some rules, put some in place. You know, you can't hit him low. Yeah. That rule itself came from the injury he had where a guy came in and.
That's right.
Bernard Pollard
hit him low and, knocked him out. But even that overcoming injury in the middle of his career, he wasn't a spring chicken then.
No.
This guy had to overcome and battle. This is what I love about Tom Brady. I mean, even down to what he's doing right now with Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
That man lives at his home,
That's crazy.
To take care of another man, that responsibility. He's that type of guy that's willing to lead by example, not just talk it, but he walks it.
Man.
Absolutely. And a couple other shout-outs. Fred watching from Tucson, and then Linda from San Antonio. I tell you, Chiefs Kingdom.
All over.
Chiefs Kingdom. They call it a kingdom for a reason. I mean, we are spreading out, all right? Sorry to Bills Mafia, but you know what? I got to represent. Axel says, even if Casey loses by 200, I'll take it to the Supreme Court, which I respect, okay? Because, listen, we cannot handle a Chiefs loss. After you win the Super Bowl, after you win a Lombardi, you don't want to accept a loss.
You don't.
I mean, that's what you want to hear. We got someone watching from Georgia. Shout out Darcy, all over the place, and they've got some Bulldogs. Nicole Hardman, former Georgia guy. So the Chiefs are representing. Chiefs. Ronald says, "Let's beat them like they steal something." That's another good way.
All right,
I like
that's old school.
Good way of putting it.
Here's the thing: the Facebook chat is bringing some trash, so I appreciate that. Let's see. Keep on firing away your questions. We are reading them here at KCD5 Kickoff. Just counting on down. Nathan says Kansas City Chiefs are going to win by an interception and by a field goal at the end. So I want to ask you guys, what kind of game are you expecting? You expecting maybe one where the defense actually steps up, a shootout, close game blowout? What do we think today will be?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking. My prediction is a shootout. I think it'll be high scoring. I think the Chiefs will win by 10. Wherever those numbers fall out, Chiefs by 10, but there's going to be a shootout. There's going to be some scores, some touchdown celebrations. We're going to see some dancing.
I like it.
It's that time of year. It's only right.
And that's my favorite kind of football, is when you get to see a ton of offense. But
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case, because we saw last time around in Week 6, I know that everyone out there is saying this is a completely different Buffalo team.
Sure.
Week 6, you could throw it out the window, which you can, because Sean McDermott's defensive scheme was very, very one-dimensional. It was let Patrick Mahomes run, do not let him throw. But I just think there's so much defense involved that I think it's going to be not necessarily a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game, but kind of in between.
Yep.
Also, just got word in my ear, everybody, Tampa just won. So Tampa Bay will be hosting the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Crazy.
And that means that Tom Brady will be going once again for another
TB and TB.
Oh, there you go. They won the Battle of the Bays over Green Bay.
They did.
What do you guys take from that first game? Because we kind of talked about in our pregame show, like Week 6 against the Bills, that was so long ago, different teams. But Tampa Bay was a little more recent.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think people don't realize how well the Chiefs played that game because they struggled in the second half. But that first half, dominant. How much do you take from that game?
Well, this is one thing I want Chiefs fans to be very wary about and pay attention to. That offensive package that Tampa Bay had the first time around was vanilla. I mean, the pre-snap movement was very minimal.
True.
That's what makes playing defense difficult. When you have a change of strength motion or some of these zigzag motion that the Chiefs use, it changes the responsibility of the defense. So it makes these guys have to communicate at a high level.
Yeah.
If us three right here are working and this guy comes over, we got to be able to communicate that quickly. And if he goes back, we also have to be able to communicate so that we can play assignment football and play sound football. That's what I think the Tampa Bay has turned up since then.
Yeah.
And it's become clear to me that their offense, they're opening up the package. So this will be a different Tampa Bay team if KC sees them.
Yeah, and I think Kansas City's kind of the same way. I mean, Andy Reid, I've mentioned it before in some of our other shows, is that, he plays chess while a lot of other coaches play checkers, and he doesn't unveil his playbook until he gets into the postseason.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people have mentioned during the season, the Chiefs look bored. They look bored right now. And you almost have to think, well, a lot of that is because Andy and Patrick don't necessarily show all of their cards until they get into the games that matter most. And it's the same thing with Tom Brady, and that's why he's so successful. And it goes back to your point, is because they can be vanilla during the regular season. They don't have to, go undefeated because they want to show everything that they have in the postseason and not put that on tape yet.
Well, I got one question for my Tom Brady haters.
Okay.
We've seen all the success that they had in New England. Can we give him the credit now? He's taken another team, a team that really wasn't a Super Bowl contender, to the Super Bowl.
Well, he's answering the big question about can Brady do it without Belichick, and can Belichick do it without Brady?
Right.
And listen, there's still time to tell. I'm not going to count out Darth Vader and the Evil Empire. But, Brady in his first year, and Taylor Heineke almost pulled it off, or else we wouldn't be talking about it. I want to shout at him. Adam Schefter just tweeted, actually, if the Chiefs do win today, that they are planning to fly to Tampa the day before the Super Bowl. That's just, listen, we're talking Chiefs football. It's a nice break, but that's a reminder of how different this year is. The fact that normally there'd be this week-long build-up, but the Chiefs are actually going to get to practice in Kansas City all the way up to the day before. When you fly to a road game, how different is that environment? Obviously, a Super Bowl is a different beast, but does it take time to kind of acclimate after a flight like that?
To be honest, man, for me, it was something I enjoyed because it allowed me to get my body and get my mind into that business mindset. When you put on those suits and get on the plane, it's almost therapeutic. It puts you into that rhythm to let you know, hey, this is a business trip.
Yeah.
I don't have any friends in the city. I don't have a whole bunch of family I'm going to see. I'm going to sit in a hotel. I'm going to study. I'm going to get a win for my city, for my team. So I always enjoy the road game because you don't have those distractions, the family calling you up for the 60 ticket, you get to focus on your game, focus on your assignment, and helping your team win.
And I actually think Andy Reid probably prefers this. There's no distractions of the media week leading up to it. There's nothing else going on. He's a very regimented, scheduled coach. And I think he loves this idea because it is no different than any other road game.
Sure. A lot of people don't know that about Andy. He's particular. This guy counts the seconds in practice.
Want to give another shout out to Barbara, who's watching from Arkansas. So again, it's a little closer to home, but especially the people who don't get KCTV5 over there, we appreciate you checking us out on Facebook. Now, we're looking ahead, kind of Super Bowl 55, but we all know today's going to be a tough game. Chiefs got to take care of business first. Desmond, I want to ask you, one of the biggest storylines of today's game, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's back. And what I said earlier is I think he's a little underrated because he's inconsistent, because sometimes they don't need him. They got Kelsey Hill, and you know what? He has a slow game. So I think he's a little underrated. Take me in the mind of a linebacker when you see a guy that short but that elusive coming at you. How tough is he to stop?
He reminds me of Maurice Drew-Drones, the Barry Sanders. This guy's very elusive. His ability to cut laterally makes him very special and difficult to defend, as well as his playmaking ability outside of the backfield, in the passing game. I think he has a little ways to go as far as blocking up the pass, but man, this guy is a stud. I watched him all the way back in LSU, man. The way the passing he plays the game with, he's a young kid that appears to love the game with all of his heart. Those are the kind of guys you want around on your team. They're infectious, but they keep the energy positive.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I know that he and Tyreek Hill banter back and forth about being the shortest person on the team. And it doesn't matter if you're short, if you're the fastest player in the league, or you have incredible contact balance like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And what he's shown us as a rookie, I think, is phenomenal. And just what he's been able to do. You get a lot of pressure on you when you're a first-round pick. And absolutely. So for him to be able to come in as a running back, as a first-round pick, and show what he's been able to, I think is very impressive.
Ronald says we got to win this game so that we could beat Tom Brady in his home. I think that's one thing. Whether or not you think the Bucs or Packers would have been an easier matchup, if the Chiefs do win the Super Bowl beating Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, that's got to be extra sweet, because I know Danny still has not forgiven Mr. Brady for what he did just a couple of years ago.
Burns.
And so that's where it's a little bit of revenge. We can't get that season back, Patrick Mahomes' first rookie year, AFC Championship game loss, but I think if you had to ask, would it be sweeter to beat the Packers or the Bucs in the Super Bowl? You're probably taking the Bucs. So I like that sentiment, Ronald. But again, We don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
One thing I learned, never trash talk TB12, okay?
That's fair. So, Desmond, speaking of TB12, though, that was a playoff game you played in with the Chiefs. Take us kind of the mind is what's going through right now, about 20 minutes to kick off, especially a home game. What's it like running out of Arrowhead? You hear, even limited fans, you hear the fans kind of, what are the nerves like right before kickoff?
Well, at this point, the guys have already been out. You know, they've already gone through their pregame. They're already pumped. They got the pre-workout in there, turning it up.
Yeah.
This is the time where you turn back to a kid. You know, this is when you, as a football player, you try to channel your childish energy and really just play for your brothers. Because at the end of the day, this is just a football game. You want to dumb it down to just that so that everything can slow down, see as little as possible, and play as fast and as hard as you can.
Yeah, and last year we saw them, their energy level was so high that they came out and they didn't look like the Chiefs that we had seen all year. And so they had to overcome these deficits. But this year I think is totally different because they have that experience and they're ready to go. They come out of that tunnel with the confidence like Travis Kelce mentioned. They feel like they deserve to be there.
Now, Desmond, I want our Facebook friends here to weigh in because I know the answer to this, all right? I think it's a little crazy. Guys, let us know your thoughts. Your pregame meal.
Sure.
All right, you go to, I mean, this is the big game, AFC Championship game. Everybody at home think about, all right, what would I eat before a big game? Well, let's hear what Desmond, former NFL linebacker, downs.
Yeah.
I keep it simple, and this was my meal for every game. You know, little spaghetti, little eggs, meatballs. It was like breakfast and pasta mixed together. It's odd, but it was very filling. You know, it was basically those complex carbs which give you the energy to last and play at a high level for a long time. Something I've been doing since college. But to be honest, you think that we'd have a layout of food. The food is pretty basic, you know, what you have to choose from.
Yeah.
Those are the things I knew that would be there regardless of the team, regardless of the environment. I know I have spaghetti, some eggs, some meatballs.
I love that. A little bit of everything. Little bacon. Bacon makes everything good.
A little sizzle. My guy Julian says Jack Stack barbecue, which, you know.
Ooh, that's heavy. Now, you don't want to go there now. You get the Jack Stack, you might need a nap at halftime.
You know, maybe I'm riding the bench. Maybe I know I'm not playing, so like I can just go out. Chef Chris in the newsroom says the newsroom is full of pizza. So that now that you're not at Arrowhead, now you're stuck with pizza.
I did see that delivery.
We'll see if we can hook you up with some spaghetti and eggs and that concoction. But right now we're settling for the Papa John's. He's not sponsoring this, you know, just shout out. But one other note from Chris, not buffalo wings today.
No buffalo.
I mean, can't do that. That's enemy territory.
Lemon pepper.
You got to sacrifice. Although Patricia says chicken wings, so a nice little alternative.
Okay, yeah, I
think
can
that was the
respect
tailgate tip that you liked. There you go.
For sure.
It's your favorite segment.
No buffalo wings today, just lemon pepper your wings.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Okay.
Last question. It's a little muggy out there. You know, we don't know how much rain, but I think it's interesting. Kind of talk us through the elements. How difficult is it to play when it's cold, when it's rainy? I mean, kind of take us through the stages. Like, I think a lot of people think it's an excuse.
Sure.
Is it legit?
To be honest, the rain is probably the most difficult element, in my opinion. You know, I played offensive wide receiver in high school. The balls get a lot more slick once it gets some moisture on it. You know, the snow and the cold, you can bundle up. It's really not a huge deal. It's a little bit fun to play in snow. Who doesn't love to play in some snow?
It's true.
We all got a kid inside, but when you have a rain element, the ground becomes a question. You have to make sure you have the right footing so that you can plant and perform at the highest level, obviously at the highest stage. Tonight, this is the highest stage.
Yeah, I loved what you talked about on our Price Chopper Game Day show about having the cleats, the different sizes of cleats and different lengths of cleats, and how important that is when receivers cut or even linebackers whenever you're moving around on that field, and how important that comes into play when it is rainy out.
Look at Arrowhead. The fireworks going off. You can see it in the air. I mean,
it's game time.
I just got a little chill.
Little chills, a little fired up. There you go. Suit me up, coach.
Let's go.
Don't do that. You don't want to see me out there. You can tell who's built. I got 2 football players behind me. Not a bad tennis player, okay? So I'll hold on there.
You
guys,
can be the X factor.
Final thoughts. Let's hear. How are we feeling? I like asking you, Desmond, the nerves, the anxiousness, the excitement. Take me, not player Desmond, analyst Desmond.
Sure.
How are we feeling? What's the vibe?
I am feeling excited for these guys. They'll be pumped up tonight. I mean, even from here, honestly, I can feel the energy radiating over from the stadium. These folks will be pumped up. The players know exactly what's at stake. They understand that Kansas City is depending on them tonight. They want to run it back too. So this will be a chance to prove it. My final thoughts are Chiefs by 10, man. These guys will get it done.
I love it. I can almost smell the smoke from here, just
thought it was
breathing in
barbecue.
that air, a little barbecue, a little excitement. No, I definitely think that the Chiefs don't necessarily feel the pressure right now, but they understand. Oh, look at lighting up right behind
that's
me.
beautiful.
That's very nice. Thank you.
That's
Thank you, Arrowhead. But I do think that with all of the contracts that were signed during this offseason, I think this is the window.
Sure.
They need to win. They have to win now.
That's a great point.
To make all of that valid. So this game is very important because they need to win, and they would need to win another Super Bowl. And I think it's dynasty or bust for these guys. So I think they win tonight.
Let's roll. Let's get it, Chiefs Kingdom. I mean, the running back tour, we've been counting down all the way.
Yes, sir.
Last week it started. This is the final stop before Super Bowl 55. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody watching this, everyone who has joined us all year long on the Nebraska Furniture Locker Room Show, on Price Chopper Game Day. You know my guy Dezman has been putting work all year long with the film breakdowns and great analysis. We appreciate him, and we appreciate you guys, and we got our QB back in the saddle, Danny Welniak. So we appreciate all of you guys giving us a shot. We're rooting for the Chiefs here at KCD5. Thank you so much for watching. Let's roll.